It's normally this stage in the Challenge Cup that a lot of teams realise there's actually a trophy up for grabs. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Yeah, it might sound a bit silly to say that, teams know there's a trophy up for grabs because they should know that from the start of the season, from the start of the competition, right? But it's generally only at this stage where the teams who really are sitting at the stall to win the competition begin to shine through. Quarterfinals, you take it seriously. You're into the semi-final already. Players, fans, they're dreaming of that final and dreaming of lifting the trophy as well. We saw what happened to the Sharks last year when they, prioritized this competition. They had, fantastic celebrations at the end of the year and well deserved for them too. And, there are 8 teams now and it could be, it will be one of them, but everyone that will be thinking now it could be us. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, the lineup for the quarterfinal, how the teams got to this stage, and then, what I think or how I think the game is going to go. So we start with the first quarterfinal. It's on Saturday, the 12th of April, 12:30 kickoff at the Hive Stadium. It's Edinburgh Rugby versus Vodacom Bulls. So just going to refer to them as Edinburgh and the Bulls from now on. This game's on Premier Sport, Super Sport, beIN Sport, and Flow Rugby. Okay, so first of all, 2 URC teams going head to head, and it means we're guaranteed at least one URC team into that semi-final as well. It's 8th in the league versus 3rd. And okay, so how did Edinburgh get here? They started out in this competition in the pool stages, not starting off great. They go away to Gloucester to lose 15-10, but then strong finish to the pool stages for them. They go 3 on the bounce. First of all, Bayonne at home, they absolutely hammer them 52 points to 12. Then they go away to Van and they win 29-25. Then at home to Black Lion, they win 36-15. And then in the quarterfinal last week, they beat the Lions 24 points to 12. That one not as much of a surprise, given that, the Lions haven't travelled very well this year, but they do have another South African team to face this week, and on paper certainly more formidable opponents in the Bulls. So the Bulls then, they started off in their pool stages. They were in the Champions Cup, so away to Saracens they lose 27-5, so not a very auspicious start for them. Then at home they lose 30 points to 21 against Northampton. So, and that would have stung because the Bulls have a very proud home record. They don't lose very often at home in any competition. Next then, they go away to Castres. They send a weakened side and lose 49 points to 10. And at that stage, you could feel like that, they decided that the Champions Cup dream was gone for this year. But then they do finish off with a kind of a rousing win, to sign off. And that was a 48 points to 7 win against Stade Francais. And that was the thing that qualified them for this competition. Then in their round of 16 last week, I'm going to keep saying quarterfinal, by the way, because I'm so used to knockouts in Europe being quarterfinal first. But in the round of 16, they went away to Bayonne. They won 32 points to 22. So great win for them there. And I think that's a big difference between the Bulls and the Lions, is the Bulls are competitive home and away. And the Bulls can even make changes and still have a pretty decent team out on the field as well. So they're a much bigger threat to Edinburgh in this one than the Lions were, I feel. And, the Bulls are a team that if they take this competition seriously, there's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't make the final and potentially lift the trophy as well. They've been trying, you've seen them year on year trying to, win silverware in the URC. We have 3 seasons of the URC now, and they've been in 2 of the 3 finals as well. So, they've been very close to lifting a trophy during that time. Not so much in Europe, like last year, first year in Europe, and they kind of threw their knockout stage game by sending a very weakened side to try and prioritise the URC. They made it to the final of the URC, but they lost against another Scottish side, Glasgow, in that final at home as well. So that certainly would have stung them. So this year, I think the Bulls definitely want to lift the trophy. Whether they want to lift this trophy or not, we'll see. I haven't seen the teams that they pick, but we'll see it not just in the team that they pick, but also in the desire that they show in this game as well, if things start to go against them. But yeah, if this is a URC game, if we were talking about, this being the difference between, let's say, the Bulls potentially finishing second in the league, or, protecting their home quarterfinal in the URC, and they have to win the game, I think you'd back the Bulls, every day of the week, because Edinburgh, they're a very good side, lots of talent in the team, but they're super flaky, and this competition has a lot of flaky teams in it as well. Edinburgh actually aren't the worst. We'll come along to the worst later. Hint, I might be wearing their jersey. But yeah, Edinburgh up and down a lot, and you feel like if the Bulls turn up and the Bulls perform, they're probably going to win. Edinburgh, they're going to have to produce an epic performance, but then again, it's the same with Glasgow, right? A couple of seasons ago, Glasgow were in this competition, and they made it to the final. They didn't deliver in the final, but they, it was, I think, the catalyst to them then going on to win the URC, because they had that hurt of getting all the way to the final and then not delivering. And if Edinburgh can do something similar, maybe they're going to get over that kind of mental thing of not being able to back up good performances week on week. And it really is, a lot of time at the very top of the sport, it's more the mental side of the thing rather than, skill, physicality. Sometimes the other team's just bigger, stronger, faster, whatever, right? But if you're able to cope with that one week and you're not able to cope with it the next week, then it's not just that as the problem, right? Like if Edinburgh were a team who, like let's say the Dragons or Newcastle or whoever, who are rock bottom of the league and are struggling every single week, well then you could maybe throw that accusation at them. But Edinburgh have beaten some really good teams, like in this competition, but also, in the URC as well. So they know how to perform well. It's just being able to get the consistency. And the Bulls are certainly a much more consistent team than the Lions were that they faced last time. And I think that Edinburgh are too. So because of that, I'm going to go for a Bulls win in this one. But, hopefully both teams turn up and we have a really exciting game, because on paper, certainly it could be a ding-dong battle between those two. Okay, on to the next game then, and it is Ospreys versus Lyon. So Ospreys 12th in the URC, but they've been up and down. They've been up there in the top 8, like 5th or 6th or something in the league. And then, the way it is in the URC at the moment, one loss and you drop 4 or 5 places because everyone else is so close. Lyon 7th in the in the top 14. So this one is a 5:30 kickoff on Saturday as well. It's at the Swansea.com stadium. And yeah, the official name's Ospreys versus Lyon Olympique Universitaire. But I'm going to just call them Lyon from now. This one is on beIN Sport, Premier Sport, Flow Rugby, and Super Sport. So, how did these teams get to this point? So we start the home team, Ospreys, in pool stages to beat the Lions 30 points to 14. Then they go away to Montpellier and they get absolutely, spanked there, 59 points to 15. Then they home to Newcastle, they beat them 35-15. Then in the final game of the pool stages, they go away to Pau and they win 31 points to 28. That was a very good win for them. And then in the quarterfinal, or again, I told you I was going to say that, in the round of 16 against the Scarlets, they got a revenge for the week before, where they'd lost to the Scarlets in the URC by beating them 36 points to 14. So decent run of form in this competition for Ospreys now, and the home advantages as well. Got to be, a bit of a G up for them. Lyon, they, in the pool stages, they beat Cardiff 37 points to 26 at home first. Then they go to Zebre, narrow win there, 21 points to 19. But we know, especially being a URC fan, that Zebre have been hugely competitive this year, so it's no surprise that they ran them close. Then they went away to Connacht and they lost 52 points to 24. So they got a bit of a spank in there. And then they reversed things by beating the Cheetahs, who are a invitational side from South Africa, 69 points to 21. They used to be in the old, before the URC, what was it? The Pro 14, right? They were one of the two South African teams that got booted out to make way for the top tier, I guess, South African teams. But yeah, 69-21 there. Then in their round of 16 game, so you got it right once. That's probably the only time I'm going to get it right first time. But against the Sharks, so defending champions, they win 34 points to 21. And a significant win for them. Even though Sharks did not pick their first team for that as well, it doesn't really matter. I think it's a confidence booster for Lyon. They know this competition probably, like in recent years, certainly better than most other teams. Been in finals, lifted a trophy, etc. So they know how to progress through this, and being away from home, won't be as daunting, I think, for them, because they take this competition seriously, and it means the Ospreys have to be at their absolute best. But Ospreys are doing what they did last year, and are coming with a bit of form now towards the end of the season. In the URC, they still need to find a little bit more in terms of getting wins to get themselves back up into the top 8. But, there's no reason why they can't make a run in this competition from here. In a very good position now, at home in their quarterfinal against, yes, it's against a very good side, especially at this level. But I think home advantage is going to be enough for Ospreys to get through, because Ospreys have shown enough, certainly in, recent performances, that if they turn up, they have the beating of Lyon. But if they don't, especially if they don't get a good start, Lyon, if they feel like they're in the game, then it could go either way. But I'm going to back the Ospreys to win that one. Okay, on to then the next one, and the flakiest side in the competition. So quarterfinal number 3 is Connacht Rugby versus Racing 92. So I'm just going to call them Connacht and Racing. And it's 8 o'clock kickoff. It's at the Dexcon Stadium over in Galway. It is on Premier Sport, France TV, beIN Sport, Flow Rugby, and Super Sport. I'm surprised it's not on any Irish stations. I thought it would have been on like TG Cahir, which is an Irish language station. Maybe it is, and they're not advertising it. But yeah, Connacht versus Racing 92. So how did these two teams get here? Well, Connacht started in this competition, and they've been going really well in it too. So they start off with a win against Zebre at home, 43-12. Then they go away to Perpignan. They win 31-18. Then Lyon, we just talked about them in the other quarterfinal, a win 52-24. Then last game in the pool stages, to beat Cardiff 28-19 over in Cardiff. And then in their round of 16 game, they at home they beat Cardiff again, 35 points to 20. So really good progression from them. Just a note on Cardiff as well, because the news has obviously come out since we last talked about this competition and the game between those two teams, that Cardiff, are going to go into administration, and looks like they're going to be taken over by the WRU, the Welsh Rugby Union, and I believe Sam Warburton is stepping down from the board there as well. So, sad news from that, and I know Warburton's getting a bit of stick as well, because he did come out not long ago, and I actually talked about it as well, talking about how Wales needed to maybe reduce the number of regions and get rid of one of the regions. I'm sure he wasn't thinking of Cardiff at that stage. The likely, like all fingers, when you think about who's going to go, all fingers basically point at the Dragons, right? So I think he's getting a bit of stick on that. For me, I don't want to lose any teams at all. Like, it was sad when, Scotland went down to 2 teams, losing the Border Reivers, and, in Wales, I really don't want to see them going down to 3 either. I think, hopefully they can find a way to support the 4 teams that are there, because if they can do that long term, I think it's definitely going to be better for them. Maybe a bit of hurt now, maybe people have to tighten belts a little bit, but they need to find a way, I think, to support each of the regions and keep them going. And Cardiff, I don't want to see them going to the wall. I don't think they will, because the WRU will step in, but at the same, in the same breath, you want to see these teams thriving. You don't want to see them struggling. So sad news there, but hopefully, it's the beginning of a better chapter, maybe for Cardiff, but also for Welsh Rugby as well. So that was Connacht's round of 16 win there. Racing 92 then, they came through they came through the Champions Cup, dropping down from there. So they started off pretty well, beating Harlequins 23 points to 12, and looking actually good, looking like they might actually produce in the Champions Cup, because they've always kind of flattered to deceive at that level. But then they go away to Sale, don't really perform, get beaten 29-7. Then at home, they lose to Glasgow 29-19. And then they finish off then with a win against the Stormers, 31 points to 22. And they're the only team actually that dropped down from the Champions Cup that had 2 wins in the pool stages. Everyone else had 1. And also the only team with 2 wins in the Champions Cup that didn't make the knockout stages as well. So, a bit unlucky maybe to miss out on that, but it was a very competitive pool that they were in. And then in their round of 16 game, they went away to Perpignan and they won 24 points to 18. So a decent win there, especially, you look at French teams, and generally when you look at the top 14, you think home team's going to win. And, you might have thought it might translate to this competition as well, but Racing, they went away and they delivered. Now, neither of these teams doing very well domestically. Connacht 13th in the URC, but again, the URC, a couple of wins can get you from 13th up to 6th or 7th in the league. And Connacht were up there again at one stage, kind of like the Ospreys, but they're on the kind of the downward slope at the minute. But again, I talked about how flaky they were, up and down, not just week to week, but also winning games as well, which means that for neutrals, certainly a lot of the games are exciting. For Connacht fans, though, got to be very frustrating. Racing then 11th in the top 14, so certainly not doing a lot well, especially when you look at the the talent that they have in that team as well. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Like Connacht, you would think at home they should win, and I think most people would probably back them to win, even against a talented team like Racing 92. But whatever happens, if they do win, they're going to make their fans sweat all the way through the game. That's one thing you can guarantee from it. Like, it's not going to be straightforward. They're going to be up, they're going to be down all the way through, I think. But yeah, I'm going to go for a Connacht win in that one. Okay, on to then the final quarter-final matchup, and that is Bath Rugby versus Gloucester Rugby. So again, just going to call them Bath and Gloucester. This is a 5:30 kickoff on Sunday. It's at the Rec. It's on Premier Sport, beIN Sport, Super Sport, and Flow Rugby. Okay, so these two teams then, both Premiership teams. So guaranteed the Premiership team through. We're guaranteed a URC team through from quarter-final 1, and then after that, then we could get another couple of URC teams. We could get 2 French teams through, or we could get some kind of mix of that as well. But what we are guaranteed is 1 URC and 1 English from here. So Bath, they dropped down from the Champions Cup. Had a very tough draw, honestly, in their pool stages, because they had La Rochelle and Leinster in the pool as well. So they start off at home losing. Ran La Rochelle close. They lost though 24 points to 20. Then they decided they were going to send a weakened team over to Benetton. Didn't quite work out too well for them. They lost 22-21 there. Then the one good performance really of the pool stages from at least like 80 minutes. Clermont, they beat 40 points to 21. Then they go away to Leinster. Competitive for a while, but Leinster kind of, did what Leinster do and just kind of pulled away and won comfortably in the end, 47 points to 21. So just a 1 win for Bath in the pool stages of the Champions Cup. So they drop down to this competition. And then in the round of 16 then, they go away to Pau and they win 48 points to 24. So very good performance on the road from them. And then Gloucester came through this competition. So they start off really well, honestly. They beat Edinburgh at home 15 points to 10. But then they go away to Van and they lose 43 points to 19. Then at home, they beat the Scarlets 31 points to 7. But then they go away to Bayonne and they get, hammered 55 points to 17. So generally in this competition, at home, good, away, not so good. But in the round of 16 game, they go away to Montpellier and they win 24 points to 17. So on the road, picking up a little bit of form. And that's going to be important, obviously, in this one, because they're going away to Bath in this. But Bath, given they're both from the Premiership, will be a more familiar foe to them. Bath first in the Premiership and Gloucester fourth. So, Gloucester certainly won't be overawed, I think, going away to Bath. But it's a case of, again, a team like Gloucester, you think, can they compete on 2 fronts? Are they going to pick a decent side for this and, maybe risk missing out on the playoffs for the Premiership? Or, are they going to decide that we're going to rest some players for this now, give them a bit of a break, have them fresh for the run in the Premiership and look to pick up that trophy? Bath, you would expect, given that they went away to Pau and they won so well, that they're now definitely going to take this competition seriously. And for them, top of the Premiership already, they're probably thinking they can compete on 2 fronts. So I think this game will come down to whether Gloucester really believe that they can do the same thing, the same as them. If they can't, then you would expect Bath, even if it was close early on, to, generally, if a team pick a weakened side, it's when the benches come on that you really see the effect of that. So, Bath maybe from 55, 60 minutes, possibly pulling away to win. But I think overall, Bath home advantage, decent win in the round of 16 as well. And yeah, I think they're probably going to have enough to edge out Gloucester. So I'm going to go for a Bath win in that one. Okay, so that is the end of the look forward to the quarterfinals of the Challenge Cup. We will be covering some of the games over the weekend. It's going to depend on, whether they clash with the Champions Cup, because I've already promised that I'm going to cover all 4 Champions Cup quarterfinals. So we're going to cover as many of these as we can. It's probably going to be 1 or 2. I'm not going to do all 4, honestly. But, I'm hoping to certainly get Connacht done, because I know there's a fair few Connacht fans that watch the channel regularly. And, given that, URC is a big thing as well, my priority would be, after that, Edinburgh Bulls, Ospreys, Lyon, and then finally Bath, Gloucester, because, although I'm hoping to watch all of the games, covering them is a different thing. And given that, again, I primarily cover the URC, outside of European competition. Yeah, I'd like to cover the URC games, teams that are involved in the competition as much as possible. If I can cover all 4 games as well as the Champions Cup, happy days. But, I think that's a big ask. But I'll see what I can do anyway. But certainly, I guarantee there's definitely going to be 1 game, probably Connacht, and then I'm almost certain there's going to be at least 1 more game on top of that as well. But we will have a review of the whole round as well. That will come out probably on Tuesday, I'm thinking. And then once we progress to the semi-finals, then both semi-finals will be covered, and the final as well. So plenty more rugby to come. We're down to the pointy end now of pretty much all of the competitions at this stage. So it's getting more exciting. I hope you're getting as excited as me, because I love rugby, and I think most of you guys do too. But let me know what you think down in the comments.